Moses breaks down and says, if you want to get divorces, fine. I'm fed up with you people. Get divorces. That's how it goes down, right? Jesus then comes along and says, look, you are made for more than that. So he raises the bar because he knows that divorce is wreaking havoc in people's lives, and he wants to make sure that we have what we need to be happy. He also, why does Jesus change the game? Because he's now saying, I will be with you. I am now, because I'm on the scene, I have changed the game by my very birth. By the fact that I'm now present with you, I will be living with you beyond my death. He knows all this. He's saying, I will be there to help you. Through the Eucharist, through the sacraments, I will give you what you need in order to survive and live at this higher level, and you will be happier for it. Now this is important right here. This is a very important statement. People often accuse the church of making a mockery of marriage by making people get an annulment. What is an annulment? Hannah?
Saying to the church that it was,
You're right.
It wasn't right. It wasn't valid.
It never happened. It wasn't a valid marriage. You're exactly right. Okay, so if you didn't know that, make sure you write that in there. An annulment is a statement by the church which says that your marriage was never valid in the first place. Okay? Your marriage was never valid in the first place. It wasn't an actual lawful marriage.
What if you aren't Catholic and you want to become Catholic, but you've had a divorce? Does that mean that
Good question. Good question. If you're non-Catholic and you want to become Catholic, there's a lot of different nuances there. But basically what the church does is if you thought you were entering into a lawful marriage in your old place, in your old church, then, or even as an atheist downtown at the courthouse, if you thought that was a lawful marriage that you were entering into, then you do need to get an annulment. But there's a lot of different nuances there that we probably don't have time to go into, but that's a good question. Yeah. Okay, now here's what's important. This happens over and over again in all things, okay? If you've been paying attention or not paying attention, just listen for just 2 seconds, okay? Here's not just with this issue, but with lots of issues. Here's the picture that's painted all the time. That Jesus is this surfer, just happy-go-lucky guy, laid back, doesn't, just loves everybody, which he does, but the way he's portrayed in doing that is wrong oftentimes. He's just laid back, man, no rules, no nothing. I'm Jesus. I got long hair, I prance through the fields, I'm just Jesus. Okay? And then the big bad church comes along and makes and twists Jesus' words and makes them into sacraments and makes you follow rules and makes you have to get annulments and makes you have to do all these other things. And it's the church that ruins hippie Jesus. And if we could just get around the visible church, we could all really see Jesus for who He really is. Okay? A hippie. A great guy, laid back, no rules. Okay? No judging. I don't judge people. I'm Jesus. Right? I love there's a sign over here on the west side somewhere, one of the churches. It says, no judging, just Jesus.
I hate that. That's that one. It's the guy with the coffee cup. And
I don't know.
He's like, no religion, no...
Yeah, no rules, no judging, just Jesus. Just Jesus, man. So here's the point. Okay? And this is the point that G.K. Chesterton makes early on in the 1900s. I think it's fantastic. We have flipped it completely opposite when we have that impression. Look, read Jesus' words. Read Jesus' words up here. He says, no divorce. If you get a divorce and you remarry and you have sex with someone else, you commit adultery. Now that doesn't sound like a pot-smoking hippie who doesn't believe in rules to me. That sounds like black and white. If you get a divorce and remarry and have sex, you committed adultery. Okay? The church is the one who comes along and says, we can't help you in certain instances find a way to make that a little softer. There is potentially a way we could say, how about this? How about we help people and we can say, what if we look for ways that maybe potentially those marriages could have been unlawful, which is what Jesus says. Do you see that? He says, unless it was unlawful. It's Jesus who mentions the word law, not the church. It's Jesus. Jesus is not prancing through the fields like, hey man, everybody just love each other. Jesus says if you get divorced and remarry and have sex, you've committed adultery. The church comes along and says, we want to help people find ways to deal with this. So people, I get stuff about annulments all the time. And I understand. It's a very difficult thing. And it sounds like that's if you believe the caricature of the church as dictator, jerk, wanting to make everything really hard and all about rules, then well, this is just going to seem like another thing. But read what Jesus says. He says, all these passages that Jesus says elsewhere too, just in general, I come to bring the sword, not peace. You will go to heaven where there's wailing and or you will go to hell. You'll be cast into hell where there's wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay, this caricature of Jesus from the 1960s hippie is completely based on nothing. There's nothing in the Bible that would back that up. Okay? So when we think about annulments, please think of that. Okay, please remember that too, what the church really says about that. Okay, any questions on any of that? Well, we can get into more specifics on annulments later. But basically an annulment says that the marriage was never valid in the first place, which is kind of what Jesus leaves that as a possibility in His words. Okay? Is it Christ's words or the church that mentions law? It's Christ's words that mention law first. Okay? Now, let's look at the Catechism, paragraph 1643. Conjugal love. What is conjugal love? Conjugal visit. Yes, exactly. What's a conjugal visit? Sex. Okay, you can say the word sex in here. You're safe. I'm not going to turn you into Mrs. Hoy. Okay? Conjugal love is love between a married couple. So write that in if you don't know what that. Conjugal love, basically sex between married people. It's down here towards the bottom of the page. Another paragraph from the Catechism. Because Justine asked a question a long time ago that I said we would eventually get to. Why can't people have sex before marriage? Okay, or why does the church teach that? So hopefully we'll finally get to look at that a little bit. Sex between married people, it says, involves a totality. Totality. Okay? I'm just writing it up here. We're reading it. This is a little excerpt from the Catechism, okay? In which all elements of the person enter. Appeal of the body, that's attraction. Okay, I'm attracted to the person. There's a powerful feeling and affectivity obviously associated with sex. Aspiration of the spirit and of will. It involves the entire body. Totality of the person. Okay? Sex in marriage involves the totality of the person. It aims at a deeply personal unity. Okay? A unity that aims at unity. A unity that, beyond union in one flesh, leads to forming one heart and one soul. Moments after, or they've done studies, hours after two people have sex, hormones and cells, blood cells, other bodily cells are present in each other from the other person. The other person, your body actually starts to share physical parts, physical cells, physical matter from the other person. So not just like your bodies are not just becoming one, that's like a philosophical thing. No, it physically starts to happen as well. You start to share. Are you all right? I think you were asleep. It's okay. Welcome back. Yes.
Is that then why
Married people start looking like each other? I've never noticed that. Squirrels don't dance. There's a... He heard us talking about sex. Okay. All right, we only got a few more minutes. I'm sure you're saddened by that. Underline this part of that little catechism excerpt, if you would. It leads to forming one heart and one soul. Underline this. It demands indissolubility and faithfulness. If you could underline those two words. Indissolubility and faithfulness. We're getting there. They're italicized there in that paragraph. Indissolubility and faithfulness. Sex in marriage demands these things. Indissolubility and faithfulness. Why? Well, first of all, let's write down beneath the paragraph, we already know what conjugal love is. Indissolubility. What does indissolubility mean? Not what? Not breakupable. Not able to be dissolved. Broken up. Indissolubility means that it is unable to be broken up, unable to be dissolved. Okay? So what this is saying is that sex demands an inability to dissolve the relationship. When does that happen in the mind of the church?
When you have sex.
Nope. Nope. When can you say, when is the indissolubility first guaranteed? When do you know that this is a relationship that's not going to be able to be broken up? Nope. When you're married. When you go through the marriage ritual, now you say, I do. You say forever in front of the rest of the church, in front of the priest. You promise to hold each other, love each other for the rest of your lives and never leave one another, sickness and health, good times and bad. I do. Then that is the first moment where we have this.
What about different religions? When they make a promise, is that...
Well, we're dealing in this moment with Catholicism's take on it. We can get to those other ones. We can get to other religions in a moment. Well, not today. Or not today, but we will. Okay. Fertility. Baby having abilities. Very good. Baby having ability. Open to fertility. Okay? Which this is key because we're going to get into this more when we talk about contraception, Planned Parenthood, in vitro fertilization, so forth. If I'm not open to fertility, what am I using? Contraception. What's the problem then with contraception? Very briefly, we're going to get into it more later. It does prevent children, but what else that we've been talking about? What is key? Okay, you are breaking up basically the commitment when you use contraception or you do any of those other things that are contrary to what we've been talking about. Okay, you are not giving yourself 100% completely. If you use contraception or you somehow interrupt that process of fertility and or at least being open to fertility, then you are not giving yourself 100%. which, as we talked about yesterday with actual love, he said we give ourselves completely, freely. Then we're free to love. There's nothing hidden. But when you start to introduce something into a relationship and into a marriage where you're holding back, where you're keeping something for yourself, then there is that area. Then the two people, it's impossible to trust, because you're introducing an element where you're not revealing and you're not giving everything of yourself to the other person. You're putting something in the way of that. Okay?
What does it view, like 18 kids in counting? Like the Duggar thing?
That is in vitro fertilization, I think.
Wait,
No? Have they had them all naturally?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, hey, I hope it's okay. I'm from 11.
The thing is because they don't use contraception.
Oh, great.
Is that...
Yeah, that's fine.
Even if the child is in...
Now, the church...
Like the last two kids she had have been like 4 months preemie.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Matt and Carrie, my brother Matt and his wife will come in. They'll talk about that a little bit. It is possible... Shh, real quick. We got about 2 minutes. It is possible to be open to using your children for the wrong, to wanting to have kids for the wrong reason. But that's very rare. It could have been that they were wanting to have children to become famous for having lots of kids or something, or becoming like some freak show. I don't know the story. Okay, the church does say in that case that is a problem, but that's probably 0.00009%. Whereas about 90% of our population is using contraception. Okay, so that's probably the larger issue at this point. Okay. All right, we don't have enough time. We'll finish up this and then get started with on Tuesday. Don't forget, those of you who have your poems due on Tuesday. Oh yeah, 2 red days. I'm sorry. So Wednesday. You're exactly right. Wednesdays. I don't have my calendar with me. You guys know? Okay. Don't forget, you might get published if you do a good one. What's that?